On July 19th, 1989, United Airlines Flight 232 took off from Denver Stapleton bound for Chicago O'Hare. En route, the aircraft suffered a series of events that led to an engine loss as well as complete hydraulic loss. The pilots determined that they would make an emergency landing in Sioux City, Iowa. In preparation for that emergency landing, the flight attendants secured the inside of the aircraft. They made sure that the galleys were closed and locked. They made sure that any carry-on luggage that had been taken out during the flight was properly stowed. And last but not least, they made sure that every ticketed passenger on board the aircraft was seated with their seatbelt securely fastened around them. One of the youngest passengers on board the aircraft that day was a 22-month-old little boy named Evan. Evan was traveling as a lap child on that flight. Per regulation, he was placed on the floor behind his mother's legs for the emergency landing. Of the 296 passengers and crew members on board that aircraft, 184 survived the crash landing. Evan's mother survived the crash. Evan was thrown through the cabin like a rag doll. He did not survive the accident. The smallest, most dependent person in your family deserves the same level of protection that you provide yourself. It's not only important to your child that he occupy his own seat with a seatbelt, but it's also important to every other passenger on board that aircraft. According to United Airlines retired flight attendant Jan Brown Lohr, when you're traveling at high speeds, a child's weight can multiply up to 5 times their normal weight. Can you imagine what 100 pounds or more is going to do to the person that it connects with? Every person that comes on board a flight should occupy their own seat. If that person happens to be a child or an infant, they too should occupy their own seat with their own seatbelt. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, there have been preventable injuries and deaths in survivable crashes and turbulence due to children under 2 not being properly restrained in an aircraft. It's just a matter of time before there are more injuries. Maybe next time it won't be something as horrific as Flight 232, but injuries will happen just the same. Maybe it'll be clear air turbulence where a baby hits the ceiling, or an aborted 150-mile-an-hour takeoff in which a parent loses the grip that they have on their child that's sitting on their lap. But either way, injuries will continue to happen. The FAA's position on the matter is that since statistically airplane travel is safer than driving, it will not mandate seats for infants on board aircrafts. In essence, it's the lesser of 2 evils. However, publicly they concede in a statement. They say the safest place for your little one during turbulence or an emergency is in an approved child restraint system, not on your lap. If the government and airlines won't mandate the safety for small children, it's up to every parent and every caregiver in the country to mandate it on their own. If it's the cost that's an issue, ask your airline if you can use an empty seat for your child. Avoid traveling on peak travel days. This will increase the likelihood that you'll have an empty seat next to you to use. If you're traveling by yourself or if you're making a connection, you can ask your airline for assistance. It's difficult to travel by yourself with luggage, with a child restraint device, and with the toddler through a busy airport. So again, ask your airline for assistance. And last but not least, you can ask your flight attendants on board the aircraft. A lot of times passengers can be reseated so that you can utilize the empty seat that's on board the aircraft. Once again, your child deserves the same level of protection that you yourself are provided. After all, once you consider what you're risking, The cost of a seat for every child becomes part of the budget.